Today, Taliban leaders answering questions about concerns in Afghanistan after a chaotic scramble by people trying to escape in the wake of the takeover. A new step in the vaccine rollout. U.S. officials expected to recommend booster shots when they say people should get them. And a local district welcoming students back this morning as another reverses course on a decision regarding masks. ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
Hello there. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Virginia Shaw. Well, today, Taliban leaders addressing the media and global concerns about what comes next after their takeover in Afghanistan. The Taliban telling international media that women's rights will continue to be honored and that those who have worked with the U.S. military, for example, will be safe. The Pentagon says they are still committed to helping allies evacuate.
There's nothing hollow about the obligation that we know we have to these Afghans who so bravely helped us over the last 20 years. Believe me, nobody in the United States government, more than the Pentagon, understands that obligation to these individuals.
All this is coming as we see striking images of thousands of people fleeing the country amid the upheaval. Satellite images show the crowds from above as U.S. planes transport hundreds out at a time. Here in the U.S., the president answering questions about how the U.S. is handling the withdrawal. ABC's Ike Ajachi has the latest.
President Biden flying in early from Camp David to tell the nation he stands behind his decision to bring U.S. troops home.
I will not repeat the mistakes we've made in the past.
The president acknowledging the chaos on the ground in Kabul, bearing some responsibility, calling the exit far from perfect.
The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated.
This morning, frantic efforts to get people out of Kabul are underway. The Taliban controlling the one road leading into the airport, stopping everyone who approaches, letting only foreigners pass. Almost 1,000 more troops are now helping secure the airport for more evacuations from the city, bringing the new total to about 3,500 troops, with more coming in the next few days.
These flights lifted approximately 700 to 800 passengers, and we can confirm 165 of these passengers are American citizens. The rest are a mix of SIV applicants, third country nationals.
Reports of at least 7 deaths so far, scenes of people desperately trying to flee the city. This photo obtained by Defense One showing a military C-17 reportedly carrying 640 men, women, and children. The Taliban issuing a general amnesty across Afghanistan, advising women to take part in public life, a move many Afghans feel will be short-lived. Here at home, the president facing sharp criticism. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell questioning the president's decision.
He overruled his own military leaders to do it, and he owns it.
It's not about overruling his military leaders or his other advisors. He has given options.
Democrats also calling for answers. This morning, the head of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Mark Warner, vowing to investigate why the U.S. was not better prepared for a worst-case scenario. So far, the State Department says 2,000 people have been evacuated from Kabul. The U.S. is prioritizing American personnel and citizens. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
Here in San Diego, local Afghans say they are worried about the safety of their family members still in Afghanistan. Fear in the face of uncertainty as thousands of Afghans scramble to flee a country overrun by the Taliban as U.S. troops withdraw. Freshta Moose is a refugee whose family fled the Middle East for the U.S. to find safety when she was young. She says her brother is in Afghanistan visiting family and may be trapped.
He was actually visiting and we haven't been able to get a hold of him, so that's pretty scary.
San Diego's Special Immigrant Visa Support Group calling on people who know U.S. citizens and green card holders stuck in Afghanistan to fill out an evacuation form. Musa says they are also concerned about the women and girls in Afghanistan. She is urging the U.S. to expand who can receive a special visa and how many refugees the U.S. will allow in so anyone can find a safe haven here the way her family did years ago. In response to the situation in Afghanistan, there will be a Peace for Afghanistan candlelight vigil Thursday in Balboa Park. The situation in Afghanistan is rapidly changing as people scramble to leave and the U.S. works to help evacuees. Questions are mounting about the execution of the U.S. withdrawal and what comes next. At 11:30, I'm going to talk to a global policy expert from UCSD to get some perspective on what's going on. We invite you to stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, a new stage in the vaccine rollout is on the horizon. The White House expected to recommend people get booster shots 8 months after they're fully vaccinated. That announcement could come as early as this week. It comes as we see cases rise across the country and as countries like the UK and Germany prepare to give boosters. Israel is already giving them to its older population. U.S. health officials say they're keeping a close eye on all of that and are ready to take action.
What we're talking about is making a decision based on real data. And as soon as we find out that we will need to have to booster people, we're going to be ready to do it right away.
The boosters could become available in mid-September, but that does depend on authorization from the FDA. Pfizer and BioNTech said Monday they have submitted initial data to the FDA to support the use of a booster dose for the general population. Well, it is back to school for students in the Cajon Valley School District. All of their campuses reopening for full-time in-person learning today. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell shows us why parents had some mixed feelings about the return to school.
There's a different kind of excitement at Flying Hills School of the Arts as teachers and staff reunited with their students. Parents waited in line to get their child checked in. Some were excited to get them back on campus full-time for the first time since the pandemic started.
Amazing. I'm so excited for them to come back full-time to school. It's completely different experience having him home and doing homeschool than having him at school.
While others like Sean O'Brien felt nervous as the county is seeing an increase in COVID-19 cases.
So, I mean, I'm a little bit scared, to be honest with you. I don't want my kids getting sick, especially now that this is going over to the kids' side. When it was adults, we could take care of ourselves. But with kids, they rub their eyes, their mouth, and I don't know, it's a little bit scary.
Principal Mike Kufal says parents should feel confident their students are in good hands. The Cajon Valley School District was one of the first districts in the county to return to in-person learning last year. Over the summer, they hosted several programs on their campuses. He says they follow CDC guidelines and already have the proper protocol in place to keep their students and staff safe. Masks will be worn by students and staff while indoors, vaccinated or not.
We want to make sure that temperature checks are being done at home. If they have a fever of 100 or more, they stay home. That they haven't been exposed to anybody with COVID for the last 14 days. And the third thing is they don't have one of the symptoms.
That was Marie Coronel reporting. Now, the families that are not comfortable returning to campus, they had the option to transfer to an online program, which is run out of a designated school with online teachers. Meanwhile, change in plans for families at other schools getting ready to return to in-person learning. Ramona Unified reversing course, saying they will now hold off on a plan to allow kids to opt out of wearing masks indoors. Last night, Ramona voted to delay the optional program, so masks will be mandatory when school starts later this week. At a meeting last night, parents on both sides of this issue voiced very strong feelings about what the district should or should not do.
As board members, it's not your job to do what's popular. It's your foundational responsibility to ensure the safety of Ramona students at our schools. Following health guidance is the right thing to do for Ramona.
I'm simply begging for the freedom to choose. What I think is best for my children may not be best for yours.
One of the reasons for the reversal, the Ramona board wants to sort out some of the legal issues potentially surrounding an opt-out. Meanwhile, the state and county, they have told schools masks are required to help prevent outbreaks. The CDC, National Institutes of Health, and American Academy of Pediatrics all recommend universal masking in schools. As more students in this county get ready to go back to school, some parents do have concerns as new COVID cases rise. Now, the San Diego Unified School District says they are concerned about the Delta variant surge, so they have taken safety measures as they move ahead with the first day of school on August 30th. Poway Unified opens tomorrow, with most kids going back. Virtual options are available, but they say the majority of students will be in classrooms. All K through 12 students and staff are required to wear masks inside. Governor Newsom is also requiring all school staff to be vaccinated or take a weekly COVID test. South Bay school districts have been open since late July. Chula Vista Elementary School District has 30,000 students and is conducting asymptomatic testing and testing for close contacts. Chula Vista Elementary has reported 266 cases, mostly students. Sweetwater High has reported 224 cases. South Bay Union, 60 cases. Now, Cathedral Catholic High School was scheduled to begin today, but delayed it by a week after a staff member tested positive after being at an off-campus event. Well, this is happening now. Opening statements in the trial of the man accused of killing San Diego police officer Jonathan J.D. de Guzman. ABC 10 News reporter Jared Aarons joining us live from downtown. Jared, it's taken 5 years to get this case to a jury.
Yeah, almost to the day, 5 years, because there is a lot of detail involved in this case. And this morning, prosecutors used their opening statement to paint a vivid picture of what they say happened that night. They say it was supposed to be an unremarkable shift, but it ended with one officer killed and another clinging to life.
Dude, that sounds like it to me.
Yeah, that's body camera footage they played in court this morning from officers who were nearby when the shooting happened. In it, you could faintly hear gunshots. Prosecutors say it was this man, Jesse Gomez, who pulled the trigger, shooting Officer Wade Irwin and killing Officer de Guzman. Prosecutors also say it was Irwin, as he was bleeding, who fired back and then put in the call for help. They played audio from that call as well, and you got the feeling that Officer Irwin will play a big part in the case moving forward. Prosecutors hope to prove the shooting wasn't random, but it was Gomez, desperate to avoid jail because of his criminal past, trying to execute police officers.
This defendant, Jesse Gomez, then after shooting Wade Irwin, seeing him go down, he turns his attention towards Officer de Guzman, who's seated in the police car, who hasn't even gotten out. And he turns his attention to him and he fires, not once, not twice, 5 times, emptying that gun.
This trial is expected to last about 4 weeks. In that time, the jury will actually visit the scene of the crime. They'll also hear testimony from Irwin and several other police officers who were at the scene that night. Downtown, Jared Aarons, ABC 10 News.
Thank you, Jared.